بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم تقبل منا وتب علينا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك، ولا تجعلنا يا مولانا من الغافلين عن ذكرك ولا عن طاعتك، وتب علينا واغفر لنا وارحمنا وتقبل منا يا أكرم الأكرمين. Inshallah, today's session we're going to talk about the two domain, which is this way, the domain of shahada, the present, and the domain of the unseen world. So we're going to talk about the domain of the unseen world and the domain of the seen world, and both of them they are called عالم الغيب والشهادة. So al-ghayb is defined in the Quran about 53 times. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned al-ghayb in the Quran, and whatever concerned with it is about 53 times. Of course, it comes in singular, it comes in a different format of the word. But in general, in total, it's about 53 times. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He spoke about al-ghayb, what does al-ghayb mean? Most of the scholars who defined al-ghayb, they defined it as something you cannot witness by your faculties. Something cannot be recognized by your eyes or ears, or touch. This is what they call it, the faculty, ahassis. So something is beyond your, what you can recognize. This is عالم الغيب. And we are ordered as Muslims to believe in the unseen world. Some of the scholars said, actually, it is the essence of our deen is for us to believe in the unseen world. Okay? And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started Surah Al-Baqarah, He said, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. So this is the biggest criteria that you believe in al-ghayb. And some of the scholars, like what had been said, ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. Who are those al-muttaqeen that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah? The first criteria, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. They believe in the unseen world. Some other scholars said, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ. They said they are establishing the salah because they believe in al-ghayb. Why do you pray? Because you believe in al-ghayb. What is al-ghayb that you believe in? You believe in al-Jannah and you're working for it. You're praying to get it. And you believe in the hellfire, which is ghayb, is unseen to you. You did not recognize it. Al-ghayb, we said, that's something you cannot recognize by your faculty. So you're establishing salah because you believe in al-ghayb, you believe in al-Jannah, and you are fearful of the hellfire, which is ghayb. And then you make zakah. So all of the description is actually one. You make salah, you pay zakah, you believe on the judgment day, and this is all ghayb, because you believe in al-ghayb. So al-ghayb is something you cannot recognize by yourself. The ghayb is being categorized. Somebody, when we said in Arabic, غاب, he's not here. Where's so-and-so? Ghayb. That means he is not present. So al-ghayb is categorized. Ghayb, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not inform anybody about. Period. وعنده مفاتح الغيب لا يعلمها إلا هو. What is this ghayb? We don't know. This is Category number one, scholar said, اختص الله سبحانه وتعالى بعلمه. This kind of ghaib, it belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody will know. One. Second, ghaib, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informed some people about. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in Surah Al-Jinn, إِلَّا مَنْ ارْتَضَى مِنْ رَسُولٍ. So, ghaib to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but He wants somebody to know about it, so He would inform him about that ghaib. Thirdly, ghaib, scholars said the third type is ghaib is for a reason that we were informed. And they got an example of that is the guy of Musa alayhi salam al-Khadr, that he made a hole in on the ship because there is a king that's going to take him. What he is doing is ghaib. To him was not ghaib. Then Musa alayhi salam later on learned about that. So killing the guy, killing the kids, and then establishing the wall. Fourthly, ghaib, we have no idea about, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it a general statement that we all know about it. And this kind of ghaib, Allah told us about, and there is no way for us, no way, even though we know about, but there's no way for us to satisfy our, thirst to know whether it is real or not. An example of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَيُسَبِّحُ الرَّعْدُ بِحَمْدِهِ. Every time you see this thunder, you know, you should know, you should believe that Ar-Ra'd is making tasbih to Allah. Now you have this piece of information. Can you verify it? No, you cannot. How would you know? And then as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, look, there's a picture here that one of our mashayikh, or my mashayikh, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, prolong his life, his name Abdul Rahman Hassan Habannaka, he's in Saudi Arabia, he wrote a book only concerning this ayah. He said, يُسَبِّحُ الرَّعْدُ بِحَمْدِهِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ مِنْ خِيفَتِهِ. Ar-Ra'd make tasbih to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bihamdihi. That means there's something good. يُسَبِّحُ الرَّعْدُ بِحَمْدِهِ. The angels, they make tasbih fearful of Allah. Two pictures, they are opposing to each other. But both of them, they're making tasbih to Allah. Now, this is another category which I'm talking about, al-ghaib, that I know about, we all know about, we all should believe in, but we have no way to verify it. Another ghaib, number 5 maybe, another ghaib that you know by its indications, or by its result. Okay? Like, for example, the doctor will know if you expose yourself to a cold weather, you will get sick. You get exposed to something, you might get a germ or get infected or do something. This is ghaib. But he knows that the special person know that by the result or by study. So even though right now I am not sick, but he will tell me that I will be sick if I do this and that. But I'm not. So he's telling me about the unseen. So this is what they call it. Ghaib is known by its parameter or by its result or by knowledge or by experience. Ghaib. There's ghaib belong to a place. Ghaibul makani wa ghaibul zamani. This is 6 and 7. Ghaib I don't know what's going on somewhere else. Okay? But maybe if somebody came from there, he will let me know. Some scholars, they describe this as maybe what is ghaib for you, it is witnessing for somebody else. Shahada for somebody else. So there is ghaib that might be seasonal or specialized for a person or not. Another indication of this, when there is an earthquake, before it happened, if you look at the animal, you will find them running in every which way. They get scared. Their behavior will change. Because what's going to happen to me is ghaib. To the animals, it is not. They know they have other devices, they have other sensors in them that will let them know. Okay? So this is what they call ghaib makani or ghaib zamani. You know, somebody, your teacher will tell you, you're not going to study, you're not going to work, by the end of the year you're going to fail. That's ghaib. But he knows that, you know, because of what you're doing. That ghaib zamani or ghaib by indication. There is another ghaib we don't know about, and it was assigned by Allah, ghaib. I don't know what was assigned by Allah. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it changed that ghaib to another. I didn't know about the first one, and I didn't know about the second one. Okay? For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had ordained in the ghaib, you know, He ordained that you will have that much money. But then what happened is that you became very good with your parents. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changed that ghaib that you didn't know about, and it did not happen, to another ghaib that you don't know about, but you're going to see it in your life. An example of that, where the Prophet ﷺ said, Man arada, one report, another report in Musnad Imam Ahmad, Man sarrahu, the one who wants in the first hadith, and in the second hadith, who, you know, would like to be happy if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will prolong his life and increase his rizq. Man sarrahu an yunsa'a lahu fi umrihi, you know, wa rizqihi falyasil rahimah. This is riwayat Muslim and Musnad Imam Ahmad. Tamam? So, what had been ordained sometimes before, how long I'm going to live and how much I'm going to make, that's ghaib. It's before me. You see? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have assigned this gathering that we're going to be here with your names, you know, 50,000 years before He created the sky and the universe. Hadith in the Bukhari, the Prophet ﷺ said, إن الله سبحانه وتعالى خلق القلم قبل أن يخلق الأرض ب50,000 سنة فقال له اكتب قال أي رب وما أكتب قال اكتب ما كان وما سيكون إلى يوم القيامة. The hadith in the Bukhari. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the pen to write. The first thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created is the pen. When? 50,000 years before He created the earth. And when He created the pen, He ordered the pen to write. And the pen asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, said, what do I write? He said, write, everything is going to happen, and this is one of the riwayah, till the judgment day. فَجَرَى الْقَلَمُ بِالْمَقَادِيرِ. And then the pen wrote what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had assigned. And this kind of ghaib, 50,000 years before the the earth creation, he wrote that about we're going to be sitting right here. You see? He assigned that. So this is ghaib. Also he assigned how long I'm going to live and how much I'm going to make. Let's say I was good to my parents, or I was good to my folks, وصلت رحمي. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changed what had been written in the ghaib that I didn't know about to something else that I don't know about. You know? So now the rizq I have, I don't know if this is my original rizq or this is the changed one. Still ghaib to me. And this is the example of ghaib number 8 or number 9. The scholar said that ghaib, it was ordained, then it was changed to something else, but it's still ghaib for you. Okay. Like I said, al-ghaib, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran 53 times. Al-ghaib is very important. عالم الشهادة, الشهادة is العالم شهد, shahida, the word shahida, in English we could say witness. They say, scholars said, الشهادة, two kinds, شهادة بصرية وشهادة بصرية. Shahada, you will witness something by your brain or by your intelligence, you know, or shahada by what you see. Shahidtu, that I have seen. They said, the scholars said, the shahada, rather than to say shahada basariya, because it is limited, they call it shahada hissiya. Now, let's say I don't see, but if when I see Dr. Abu Yasir speaking, I have not seen him, I will say Abu Yasir is talking. You see? So that's what they call it, shahada hissiya. You can recognize it by your faculty, by hearing, or if you can by touch, or by smell. You see? So you could do that. A'ma, you know, he can hear something, he can be witness. Even though he does not see, but he can be witness. He can testify, saying that I have heard this, and his testimony is accepted. So this is what they call it, witnessing, you know, by your faculty. There's something witnessing by your brain, by your mind. If somebody told you 2 + 3 is 5. You don't need to see, you don't need to hear, you don't need to smell, you don't need to touch, you don't need to do anything. You can recognize it. There's a witnessing by feeling. The window is open, I can see the cold air. I'm going to say there's a cold air. The window is open, you know, or something. You can carry something with your hand, 2 hands. You said, this is heavier than this. How did you recognize this? You can testify to it. This is heavier than this. You didn't smell it, you didn't see it, you didn't hear it, you didn't this, you didn't do that, but you have all those, you know, this is what they call it, you know, by idrak, you know, by, you recognize it by whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had put with you. Any one of those is called shahada, shahida. So when you say, if people, you cannot, what I'm trying to say is, you cannot limit your testimony only to seeing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, شهد الله أنه لا إله إلا هو, Surah Al-Imran, لا إله إلا هو والملائكة وأولو العلم قائما بالقسط لا إله إلا هو. So, how could you testify? I haven't seen Allah. You know, I have not heard Allah. I have not touched Allah. But I can testify that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when I was little, something affected me so much. We had a guy who was studying in Russia, and he came to the masjid. I was about like 15, 16 years old. And he came from Russia, and he was affected by, al-ilhad, by not believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the creation, or they believe that whatever theory those. So he came to the masjid and he was talking to our sheikh, was giving us class between Maghrib and Isha. And he told him, very impolitely, he said, Ya sheikh, I need the proof that Allah exists. And the sheikh smiled and he said, how old are you? And he said, I am 26 years old. He said, what kind of degree you have? He told him this and that. He said, do you know how your eyes work? He said, yeah, I've studied this. I know the eyes has this and this. In the Shabakiyya, Qarniya, they have all those kind of, And he talked to him, trying to impress the sheikh. He said, do you know how many cells in your body? He said, I have 124, the doctor will know better, billions of cells in my body, in my brain. Do you know this? Do you know that? You know this, you know that? So the sheikh will start asking questions. After that, he said, you have all those miracles in you. You have all those devices in you. You have what you mentioned is a lot less than what you don't know about your body. All of this machine that you have, which is called yourself, very complicated. Doctors are studying years and years to know part of it, not all of it, part of it. Who found all of this? You're asking me about the creation, about the proof of Allah. The proof of Allah is in you. The one who found you this way, the one who put all of those complicated devices in you. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. Don't you see how you work, how you behave, how many times your heart beats, you sleep, your lungs work by itself, whether you are asleep or alive or this. All of you have all of those miracles. Who put all of them together? You're coming to me impolitely asking me, you need the proof of Allah? The proof of Allah is in you in every second and every movement you do. So anyway, so this is alam al-shahada. So you want to know about Allah, you know from yourself. What do I mean by this? Here's the theory. Scholars said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you about the unseen world from the seen world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala proves the unseen world by the seen world. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُمْ مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ. Those are signs. أَفَلَمْ يَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَيَنْظُرُوا أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا كَيْفَ خَلَقَ اللَّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا كَيْفَ يُبْدِئُ اللَّهُ الْخَلْقَ ثُمَّ يُعِيدُهُ أَوَلَمْ يَنْظُرُوا فِي مَلَكُوتِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَسَخَّرَ لَكُمُ الشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ وَسَخَّرَ لَكُمُ اللَّيْلَ وَالنَّهَارَ وَسَخَّرَ لَكُمُ الْأَنْهَارَ. Everything. Why is he telling you about this? He's telling you about the seen world to learn and to reach and to believe in the unseen. As you believe in the seen world, you're supposed to believe in the unseen world. So this is what the scholars said. You use alamul ghayb is an indication. If you believe in alam al-shahada, the one who found alam al-shahada found alam al-ghayb. As you see what's going on here, you can see what's going on there. If you believe in what's here, then that will lead you to believe in there. And in Surah Yasin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقَهُ قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم. Those people, they do not believe in the unseen world. So he asked the question, من يحيي العظام وهي رميم? Use your mind. قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة. The one who created it in the first time, which you see. You see. عالم الشهادة. You see your creation. You see your bones. You see your flesh. Who created this? Is this Allah is going to resurrect us after we become dirt? Yes. قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم. Ramim means becomes futat, becomes, the rod. It becomes, like dirt. It's no longer has strength. No longer is together. It's pieces. It turns into pieces, dust. من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم. So what he is doing, this is a very big theory. And so this is a big theory for what? For you, every time you recite the Quran, you have right now, what they call it, بعد آخر. Now you're gonna read it in depth. Why is he telling me this? To let you learn, to give you a hint, to think about the second one. To learn in the unseen world from the seen world. So when he is telling you, for you to think and to believe and to increase your iman. Now, I increase my iman because I have to live in this dunya, preparing myself, this dunya which is the seen world, to prepare myself for the unseen world. This is the whole point of Islam. This is the whole theory. A scholar, they may say it in 100 different languages or ways. They call it Darul Jaza, Darul Amal, this dunya, and the Akhirah is Darul Jaza. This is one way to present it. This is the Dar here. You can witness everything. You can do whatever you want to do. And then you're going to go to the other Dar, to the other land, to the other area, to the other life, to get rewarded for what you have done here. Do you believe or not? One of the major ayah in the Quran is Al-Imam Al-Alusi rahimahullah. Imam Al-Alusi rahimahullah said, there's an ayah, the scholar cannot write enough about it because it contained everything. What's this ayah? This is the ayah of Surah Al-Hashr. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu ittaqullah. To start with, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu ittaqullah, it was repeated in the Quran 7 times. Each one of those is a lecture by itself. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu ittaqullah. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, yes ya Rab, ittaqullah. Okay, what do we do to make taqwa? Then here's the guideline. And this is one of those 7 ayat in the Quran. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu ittaqullah. Okay ya Rab. وَلْتَنْظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ. Everything you do in this life, you're supposed to do it for the purpose to get benefit. غد. What is غد? غد is the hereafter. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَلْتَنْظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ. One more time. إِنَّ اللَّهَ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. Allah knows what you're doing. By the way, when we said khabir, if we're speaking about knowledge, all the knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is alim. If we're talking about knowledge that's inside the chest, or the unseen knowledge, then the name of Allah become Al-Khabir. Al-Alim, He knows what's apparent and concealed. Al-Khabir is specialized only, Alimun bidat al-sudur, knows your intention, knows what you intend, why you're doing what you're doing. You might claim what you're doing, you might always. He knows what you're going to do, what you do. But here Khabir is to scare you more. Khabir, he knows the force inside of your chest, or in your mind, or in your heart, that drove you to do what you're doing. Khabir. الخبير العلم ببواطن الأمور وما خفي منها. العليم عليم بكل شيء. He knows everything, whether apparent or concealed. Khabir specialized in what is being concealed. And now, when you do what you do, then we use the word for Allah, shaheed. Shaheed from a shahada. That means he witnessed. And for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he witnessed بما يليق بجلاله سبحانه وتعالى. He witnessed, and this is the ultimate witness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he witnessed with knowledge, with khabir. Alimun khabirun shaheed. So there's nothing beyond that, beyond this. Anyway, what led us to this point is, you forgot? You left me alone?
The different category, different types of light you were talking about.
Okay. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the purpose of what you're doing. This is ghaib to all of us, but to him is not ghaib. And this is for him subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-khabir. He knows, you know what you're doing. So, when we are on this earth, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, Surah Al-Hashr, ittaqullaha wa thandur nafsum ma qaddamat lighad. That means all of your life here is you're preparing yourself to go to the unseen world today, you know, and then according to how much you believe in the unseen world is how your work in this dunya is going to be. Now, believing in the unseen world will change your life. That's why people, they spend their money. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when the Prophet ﷺ asked for money, he brought him all his money. He said, what did you leave for your family? He said, I left Allah wa Rasuluh. This is the highest scale of belief in the unseen. He knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-Razzaq. He knows that when you drive to Allah, Allah will not leave you in the cold. You know? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, مثل الذين ينفق سورة البقرة مثل الذين ينفقون في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت 7 سنابل في كل سنبلة 100 حبة والله يضاعف لمن يشاء. So when you know Allah, when you testify and you trust in the unseen of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told you about, then you sacrifice everything. Because your ultimate goal for you is to go to Jannah, to please Allah, to trust what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have told you. How do you trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in what He tells you? Because you believe in ilmul ghaib. That means you trust Allah, you believe in everything He told you truly. That's why Umayr ibn Hammam, the Sahabi in Ghazwat Uhud, the Prophet ﷺ said, لا يقاتلنهم اليوم مسلم مدبر غير مقبل غير مدبر. You know, no one will fight them today pushing forward, not running away, believing in the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him what He promised, which is Al-Jannah. So Umayr ibn al-Hammam, he was eating a few dates. He believed. He trusted. He did not see the Jannah. He didn't see nothing. He heard, he believed. He said it will be a long life if I'm going to wait until I eat all those dates in my hand. Just a few days, it will be too long. To him, because I want to rush to Jannah. That means he believed. So he let go. He threw them away. He said it will be too long if I'm going to wait to get to Jannah until I eat these. I don't want them. فقاتل مقبل غير مدبر مؤمنا بما وعد الله ورسوله. He fought full-heartedly, forcing forward as much as he can, believing in Allah and the promise of Allah and the promise of the Prophet ﷺ, and he stood it until he died. He believed. So when you believe in the unseen, when you believe in ilmul ghaib, that's supposed to change your life. Now, some of the scholars, they said, أن تؤمن بالغيب, that means here, like you have two sides of the equation. Some people believe in al-mahsus wal-malmus. Believe in what you have in your hand. I have $100. I have $100. I can see it, I can feel it. You know, I can look at my bank account, I can see numbers from the bank statement. I know this is real. This is mahsus. I can touch, I can feel. Now here's the Prophet ﷺ comes to you and he said, مَا نَقَصَ مَالٌ مِّن صَدَقَةٍ. And another hadith, and the beginning of this hadith, ثَلَاثٌ أُقْسِمُ عَلَيْهِنْ وَأُحَدِّثُكُمْ حَدِيثًا فَاحْفَظُوا. Three things. I'm going to make qasam that they are true. This is the saying of the Prophet. As a matter of fact, this is the beginning of the hadith. ثَلَاثٌ أُقْسِمُ عَلَيْهِنْ وَأُحَدِّثُكُمْ حَدِيثًا فَاحْفَظُوا. Yes, Ya Rasulullah. Number one, مَا نَقَصَ مَالٌ مِّن صَدَقَةٍ. How is it going to work? I have $500 in my pocket. I gave to the charity $100. I have 400. And Ya Rasulullah, you are making an oath that my $400 are equaling $500. They did not get less. How could that be in the word of al-mahsus wal-malmus? It doesn't work. So when you believe in al-ghaib, you're going to believe in something. It's not real. In our world, in our actual materialistic world, it doesn't exist. But you have to believe that it's a truth. Now, where are you in this scale? Where are you in this scale? Do you really believe that the 400 that you have in your pocket equal 500? They do. That's what you have to believe. That the 400 in your pocket, they equal the 500 because the Prophet ﷺ said, money will not be lessened by a charity. That's a promise. And he made an oath on it. I have difficulty to believe it. Why do I have difficulty to believe it? Because my nature created by Allah. What do you mean by that? I mean what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِنَّهُ لِحُبِّ الْخَيْرِ لَشَدِيدٌ. Al-khayr in this ayah means money. The khayr in this ayah means money. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He created you, and the love of money in you, in your heart, is too much. وَإِنَّهُ لِحُبِّ الْخَيْرِ لَشَدِيدٌ. With all this creation that I have, and this nature that I have, that I love money, I have to believe against my nature that when I'm paying money for charity, I have to believe against the real thing. The real thing, I used to have 500. Now the real thing, I have 300 or 200 or 100. Because I gave out 300 or 400. I have to believe what is left is exactly the same. Now, if you are a believer, you believe this. To some people, they have high degree of iman. They believe in that. When you talk to them, like I talked to one of my scholar, and he said, as I believe, يُسَبِّحُ الرَّعْدُ بِحَمْدِهِ, I believe in the thunder that they are making tasbih to Allah. I cannot prove it. I cannot recognize it. Every time you see the thunder, do you believe that He's making tasbih? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said so. وَالْمَلَائِكَةِ, I have not seen the malaika, I have not witnessed the malaika, and I have not heard their tasbih, and I don't know how they make tasbih, I don't know nothing. To me, it's all ghaib. The malaika, the tasbih, and all of it. Huh? At least a ra'd, the thunder, I can see. The malaika I don't see. You see? And I hope I don't want to see them in this, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, يَوْمَ يَرَوْنَ الْمَلَائِكَةَ لَا بُشْرَى يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُجْرِمِينَ وَيَقُولُونَ حِجْرًا مَحْجُورًا. Surah Al-Furqan. When they see the angel, the angel of azab. But inshallah, all of us will see the angel of rahmah, the angel of mercy, especially when we die, And that's why some of the scholars said when the person is dying, you could look at his face and you can see, what does he see? If he see a smile and his face is happy, that means he's seeing the good angels. May all of us, inshallah, will make us see, the beautiful angels upon our dead.
Over here, Sheikh, over here.
Oh,
Two questions, actually. Since the world of unseen is a huge part of our faith, our article of faith.
If it is not all of it.
I know, but it plays a very huge part in the article of faith. I understand, Tawheed is part of our fitrah. What about having some kind of belief or connection to the unseen? Is that any part of that is part of our fitrah? Or you didn't understand? In other words, to have a tendency to believe in the unseen, is that part of our fitrah? It's something that we have to work on completely from scratch.
Okay. Most of the scholars, when they come to this topic, they said all of us, like we are on a scale of 1 to 100, okay? We're not all of us on the same point. Some people believe in the unseen 10%. Some people believe 20, 30%. That's why when I spoke about Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when he gave out all his wealth, that means he reached the 100% marks. Or when I speak about Umayr ibn Hammam, when he threw all those dates and go fight, he reached from that regard like 100%, because he sacrificed 100%. So when he was, that one. But Umar radiallahu anhu sacrificed only 50%. So believing of Umar radiallahu anhu, some of the scholars said is like 50% of Abu Bakr. Okay? So I believe, and you believe, and everybody believe. But what our percentage from 1 to 100? I might get 15, you might get 20, you might get 30, and so on. Okay? That's why the scholars said, essentially, you must have some kind of a degree of believing in the unseen world to be a mu'min. Otherwise, like for example, a person who does not pray, how much does he believe in the unseen world? Maybe 2%. Why? Because if he believed in the unseen world and he believed in the Jannah and he believed in the hellfire, he would have worked harder.
That wasn't my question, Sheikh. My question was this. For example, we human beings, we all have what we call a sixth sense. A feeling that we get about something, about a relationship, about an individual. These are things that are unmeasurable, they're unseen to us, but we get a feeling about it. Because of those things that actually exist within every human being, are we also born with some sort of fitra towards the unseen world, just like we're born with fitra towards Tawheed. Now we end up probably becoming the biggest atheists on earth, but we were definitely born with a fitra for Tawheed. Do we have similar creation or structures or imprints about the unseen world as well, because of the strange things that happen to us as a human beings on a daily scale, you know? Like I have a feeling, you and I, we meet with each other, we have a feeling about each other. Before we become great friends, we know where this is going to take us, or if we're going to go anywhere with this, or if I should trust you, or I should fall in love with you, or should I marry you? You know what I mean? Things like that.
Okay, Muslim scholar, they said, according to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, كل مولود يولد على الفطرة. Every one born, you know, whenever he gets born, he gets born on al-fitra. What is al-fitra? Al-fitra, that he is a believer. He is a believer. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, فَأَبَوَاهُ يُهَوِّدَانِهِ أَوْ يُنَصِّرَانِهِ أَوْ يُمَجِّسَانِهِ. He didn't say يُسْلِمَانِهِ, because he's already Muslim. So, our Muslim scholar, they said, when you are born on the state of Islam. When you are born on the state of Islam, that means you have to be born. What is Islam? Islam, that you have to believe in Allah, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ghaib. Allah is ghaib. So, then you believe in Allah. Okay? And if you are a Muslim, you believe that you were born for a purpose. You are born to be tested in this dunya, and then to prove yourself that you are worthy of heaven, or, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, worthy of hellfire. Those are the basic things as a Muslim. So, aren't these things are the basic that you're talking about, to believe in the unseen?
Yes.
Yes. Now, some other scholar of Islam, they said no. To believe in the unseen world, it's within every human. He said, even if you take somebody who does not believe in God, period. Okay, if he's in a ship and he drowned, what does he do? And they brought so many stories about so many people, you know. What do? He's about to drown. What would he say?
Starts believing.
Ya Rab. He believed there's something bigger in control, so he will turn to him. Fir'aun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they brought an indication about him. He said, Ana Rabbukum al-A'la. He said, I am the biggest Lord of you. Fir'aun said, ما علمت لك من إله غيري. I don't know of any other Lord beside me to you. He said that. Besides, he said that he is the biggest Lord. He told him that there's no Lord for you except me. And this guy, when he drowned, he said, آمنت بالذي آمنت به بنو إسرائيل. آمنت, آمنت. He can see that he amounts to nothing. He needs help. So is it. And also they said another story, I don't know how real it is. There's this atheist French philosopher, it's very well known, I just forgot his name, and he doesn't believe in God. And he was giving a lecture about non-believing in God and this world, how it was being found and all of this, in one of the colleges or universities in France, in Paris. And an earthquake had happened. And and then the walls start coming down. And then they started what he said. He screamed. And, he screamed, asking Lord for protection. Without realizing what he was doing, but he screamed. So anyway, yes, the answer to that one. So anyway, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد. Look what you're doing for the hereafter. Everything you're supposed to know, you're supposed to do in this life, you're supposed to be to serve yourself for the hereafter. Because there you're gonna get rewarded for whatever you have done over here. Now, according to your belief in that other world, according to your belief, your work here will testify to how much you believe. Okay? The people who cheat, the people who do what they were supposed to do in this life, that means those people believe. Now, some people will do and believe, but there are some people that will do better. Even both of them, they have the same idea, the same belief about the hereafter, but each one, the way to go to the hereafter or to get rewarded will be different. Okay? Meaning by that, it's like this in dunya. Let's say all of us, we need to make money. Some people work with this field and be devoted and be good. He only amounts to $100 a month. Somebody works in this field, and get devoted to it as much as the other guy, but he can make $500 So here we're going to go. Another indication is that even though you believe in the hereafter, you believe in the Jannah, you have to be choosy on what you do and learning what brings you the most benefit in order for you to do it. Okay? So, and that will be another session and will be titled Ahsanul Amal. What is Ahsanul Amal? Is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in Surah Fussilat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Who can do better than this person who believed and he invited people to believe, to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the sharia of Allah. And he is one of those people who is doing what he is asking people to do. And every question, and then this is the rule in the tafsir, every question in the Quran that there is without an answer, that means you take it to its maximum. In other words, when you said, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا, Allah did not tell you who. That means, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا, that means there is no one can be better than the person who will invite to the will of Allah. He will learn the deen and he will teach the deen. and he will practice that deen. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. That means he is one of those Muslimin, he learned it, and he invited to it, and he's staying on it. Of course, we have another rule in Islam. Alhamdulillah, we have rules in Islam. One of the rules of Islam, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to impose on you more than what you can bear. Well, I'm not supposed, all of us, to be a scholar, but as much as I know, which I have to know some. I have to know how to pray, how to make tahara, how to make siyam, I'm supposed to do, how to treat people, the moral value, not to cheat, not to lie, not. And I need to recite Quran, I need to make dhikr, I need to thank Allah, I need. Those basic things. All of these are basic. You know them, remind them to your wife, taught them to your children, be a good example to your children, to your family, to your folks. Everybody will imitate you, then you will have a piece of the reward from him, and so on. So وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا. Da'a. You see something wrong, correct it. Your children are not praying properly, teach them how to pray properly. But Allah is not asking each one of us to be mashayikh, to be scholar, to be ulama, and to devote all our life to it. No. We have to have a doctor, we have to have an engineer, we have to have so and so. Yes?
There's a lot of things for a believer to believe in the world of unseen. And believing in the world of unseen requires a very healthy heart and a very open mind. How big of a deal is it if there are certain details that, let's say it's me, that I can't accept it. I mean, it's been explained to me, but I really don't, I have a tough time believing in that. For example, I'm not saying that I'm not a believer, but just an example that during the resurrection, that there will be people that will be up to their ankles in sweat and up to their throats and over their heads in sweat. If I have a difficult time believing those things, but I believe in the major things, how big of a trouble am I in if I have questions about certain things? Or is it all or none, as far as belief is concerned?
Okay, let's go to the basic formula. As a Muslim, okay, you were there when I talked about Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. What does that mean?
Yeah, of course, Allah and Rasul, I believe in him.
No. When you said Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, part of it is that after we go through 1, 2, 3 and so on, that means I am testifying, I am declaring, I am witnessing that I'm going to be a believer in everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling me. Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, that means after 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to believe in everything the Prophet ﷺ tells me about the past, the present, and the future, about the seen and the unseen. I have to believe. This is part of Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. You see, this is part of Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. Now, I have to believe. The Prophet ﷺ came one day and he talking about that there's a wolf was talking. I don't know if you know this hadith in Sahih Muslim.
Yes.
And people opened their mind. Wolf is talking. The Sahaba opened their mouth. They did not believe it. Wolf is talking. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Abu Bakr believed and Umar believed. Abu Bakr and Umar was not with him when he was talking about the wolf, and they have not seen the wolf talking. But when the Prophet ﷺ told them about it, people was astonished. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Abu Bakr believed and Umar believed. What he's telling you? He's telling you is, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. That means you have to believe in what the Prophet ﷺ tells you about the past, the present, the future, the seen and the unseen. Another scholar, Imam Shatibi rahimahullah, added, and then you have to believe whether it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. The Prophet ﷺ walked into one of the farmland of a people of Al-Ansar, and a camel came to him. A camel came to the Prophet ﷺ and stood by him. And the Prophet, al-Hadith is Sahih Muslim. And the Prophet ﷺ said, who is the owner of this camel? A young gentleman from Al-Ansar came. He said, I am, Ya Rasulullah. He said, your camel is complaining to me about you. He said, you work him too. He said, you worked him too hard. You don't let him take a break, and you don't feed him well. Did the Ansari say, get out of here? Did he tell him, I'm not going to believe you? Did he tell you that the camel does not talk?
He knew it was true, so he couldn't say that.
Because he said, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, that means you have to believe. So now, we're coming to a very delicate word. The scholar said it. I have to believe, but I may not have full comprehension. I think this is where you're going here.
Right.
I may not have full comprehension. For example, when I was little, listening to my sheikh, I used to ask silly questions. People stand in al-mahshar for 50,000 years. You see, يَوْمَ يَقُومُ النَّاسُ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Some of the scholars said that the Yom in the judgment day was twice mentioned in the Quran. وَإِنَّ يَوْمًا عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ كَأَلْفِ سَنَةٍ مِمَّا تَعُدُّونَ. That's one day equal 1,000 years of what you count. And Surah Al-Ma'arij, مقداره 50,000 سنة. So some of the scholars said that judgment day by itself is equal 50,000 years. After the judgment day, every day of al-akhirah equal 1,000 years of our dunya. Wallahu a'lam. But when my sheikh was telling me 50,000 years, we're going to get hungry. You know, how am I going to stand 50,000 years without eating? I have to believe that we're going to stand there. We're going to be there. I have to believe in that day and the length of it. But I may not comprehend fully. You know, how it's going to be. The scholar said you're not required to have a full comprehension. Why? Because that's unseen word. It has its parameter, it has its factors, it has its forms and norms. يعني خاضع, that particular day and everything, it has its own parameters. Like for example, I have very much difficulty that when I'm laying down in the grave, the angel is going to come, according to the hadith of the Prophet said in al-Sahih, فَيُجْلِسَانِهِ. They make him sit up. Well, how are we going to sit up? That's why when I was about 12 years old, my father took me to the grave. I told my father, I said, this grave is wrong. He said, why?
No room for sitting up.
I said, there's no enough room for him to sit up. He said, he's going to yajlisani. I took it literally. You see? And when I see somebody smashed in a car accident, he became like a hamburger. We wrap him up and we put him in there. How is he going to talk? How is he going to hear? He doesn't have anything. You know? I may not fully comprehend, but I have to believe. That's why Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, was named as-Siddiq. Because most people, they got astonished when the Prophet ﷺ told them about Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj. That's why the big people of Makkah, they came to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ told them that I went to Bayt al-Maqdis, and from Bayt al-Maqdis I went over all the way up there. Forget about up there. Now let's talk about Bayt al-Maqdis. نضرب أكباد الإبل. 3 months to go there and come back. نضرب أكباد الإبل. That means we work our camels so hard to get to Bayt al-Maqdis and come back in 3 months just to go and come back. You're telling me in one night, in a part of a night, you went to Bayt al-Maqdis and you came back? They didn't ask about going up there. Forget that part. So the first part we did not believe. Believe it or not, some Muslims, the early Muslims in Mecca, when the Prophet ﷺ informed them about Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj, they went back to Kufr. Did you know that?
No.
They couldn't comprehend it. They couldn't believe it. He said, now I know that he is, taking us for a ride. So, time to leave. So they left. And so, those people, when they came to him, they said, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if we call the people, would you repeat exactly what you said to them? What you said to us? Would you repeat? Hadith in Sahih Muslim. He said, I would. So they gathered the people and said, come and listen to him. And so let's start with Abu Bakr. This is the biggest one. So they went. Abu Bakr did not hear the Prophet. Did not see the Prophet ﷺ after Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj. You see? So they knocked the door on Abu Bakr. Said, did you hear what your friend said? So what did he say? He said, in part of the last night, he went to Bayt al-Maqdis and came back. What did he say? Let me go talk to him. Let me find out. Let me see how true. إن قالها فقد صدق. If he said that, he will tell you the truth. You got to that part? You got to that part? If he said it, I believe it. I may not comprehend it. It may not make sense to me. It may not be logical or whatever. But if he said it, I believe it. This is the status of the Muslim. If what the Prophet ﷺ said in authentic hadith, I believe it. Whether it makes sense or not. Nowadays, the biggest problem that we have, and we are facing on YouTube, and we are facing with all those social media, that people forgot this rule. Forgot this rule. What is the rule? The rule is, if he said it, and the hadith is authentic, whether I understand it, whether I comprehend it, whether it is logical or illogical or scientifical or it's not scientifical, if it's true, I believe it. Why? Because this is what Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. A lot of people are getting drifted away from this idea. That's why they said Al-Bukhari is not correct. Al-Bukhari, there is a lie. Why? Because of hadith al-Dubaba. Dubaba, the Prophet ﷺ said, إذا وقع الدباب في إناء أحدكم فليغمس فإن في أحد جناحيه داء والثاني في دواء. It doesn't make sense. Dubaba, in hadith in English, the Prophet ﷺ said, if a fly fall into a cup of somebody, immerse it and take it out. Because the dubaba, on one of the side of it, there is a disease or something wrong. On the other side, there is a cure for it. Some people say this does not make sense. Why did they do? What happened? They drifted away from the formula. They drifted away from Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. If the hadith is authentic, we're done. Simply, does it make sense to you? It doesn't matter. It's not important whether it makes sense to me or not. What's important to me, that I believe. This is part of Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. So part to your question is, I may not comprehend how we're going to be immersed in our sweat. You know, how much sweat I'm going to give out. That much it's illogical. Ask the doctor, can I sweat according to my weight? I can't, I die. Because I get dehydrated. And I perspire a little bit, I dehydrated. Imagine I'm going to sweat. If I'm in a barrel, the barrel is going to submerge me up to here. Doesn't make sense? I don't need to make sense to me. If he said it, I believe it. Done. Whether it makes sense or not. يأكلون في بطونهم نارا. How I'm going to eat something like fire? I don't understand. He said it. I believe it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Surah Al-Hajj, وَلَهُمْ مَقَامِعُ مِنْ حَدِيدٍ. ولي شو؟ Something? Thank you. When I get excited, I don't know what I'm doing. شو حبيبي?
This question has nothing to do with deen as far as I'm concerned, I'm just curious.
But do you see what happened?
Yes.
When you ask a question, you made me remember the formula. So I'm giving you the formula. So that's the importance of the question. So
Exactly,
please
that's why I
ask.
asked it. Jazakallah khair. Now the second question is just for my entertainment. The jinn is a different creature.
Then you have to pay more money.
I will, inshallah. The jinn is a different creature than us. Do they have access to certain unseen world than we do? Or they are absolutely as blind to that world as we are?
I don't understand. Repeat, please.
The jinn. The world of unseen, that world, are they just as unseen to the jinn as well as the man, or they have access to certain parts and we don't?
You're talking about the jinn?
Yes.
Well, the jinn themselves are unseen.
I understand.
And the jinn themselves, they have unseen world and seen world according to their condition. They have seen and they have unseen. Also, they are like you, like us. We have seen and unseen. And they are going to be tested, or we're going to be tested. They're going to have hell, or they're going to have heaven or hell, like what we have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-An'am, يا معشر الجن والإنس يا معشر الجن والإنس ألم يأتكم رسل منكم يتلون عليكم يقصون عليكم آياتي وينبئونكم لقاء يومكم هذا يا معشر الجن والإنس ألم يأتكم رسل منكم. You see, they are known, they have to work the same thing like what we are working. They have to work toward hell, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, or toward heaven. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us heaven. You see, they will be tortured. So since they are like us, they have the same thing. But how is that things? I don't know. Because this is another thing about the unseen. I'm not going to be able, it is unseen world, because it is not up to my faculty to test it or to prove it or to deny it. You see, I have somebody to tell me about it. And then I have to believe. Okay? I have not seen Jannah, I have not seen hellfire, I have not seen the angel, I have not seen jinn, I have not seen any of this. I have not seen Al-Arsh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned Al-Arsh so many times in the Quran. You see? I have not seen it. Shahida, to witness, was mentioned in the Quran with all it is, يعني مادة shahida, that particular word with all its derivatives, mentioned in the Quran 124 times. You see? It's talking about everything. And Al-Ghayb was mentioned 53 times. And all of this Ghayb I have not seen. If I have seen, or you have seen, or somebody have, it wouldn't be Ghayb. الغيب ما غاب عن إحساسنا ما غاب عن إحساسنا وشعورنا. This غيب we don't see. Anybody? تفضل.
يا شيخ أقسم بثلاث ما نقص ماله من صدقة. 2 3.
شو عم تمتحني هلا؟
بلش بالحديث انت كملنا اياه. No. He started talking about hadith, and he said the first one of it is ما نقص ماله من صدقة, that your money will not be less after you pay صدقة. And number 2 and number 3.
3 أقسم عليهن وأحدثكم حديثا فاحفظوه. ما نقص مال من صدقة. وما فتح عبد باب مسألة إلا كانت له مذلة. ما نقص مال من صدقة
الأحد الجاي. الأحد الجاي إن شاء الله.
لا هلا إن شاء الله. وما فتح عبد باب مسألة إلا زاده الله. And then the opposite of it is وما ظلم عبد مظلمة. if you have injustice to you have been done and then you let it go إلا زاده الله بها عزة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase your way. تمام? And then the condition هل تعيدها؟ Okay. ما نقص مال من صدقة وما فتح عبد باب مسألة. And then if somebody ask for what he does not need, except that he will have madalla, humiliation from Allah. And then the third one, وما ظلم عبد مظلمة فصبر عليها إلا زاده الله بها عزة. And then if somebody did injustice to you and you are patient, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase your dignity, increase your position. This is half of the hadith. And the other half of the hadith, the continuation of it, إِنَّمَا الدُّنْيَا لِأَرْبَعٍ. The continuation of the hadith is all one hadith. إِنَّمَا الدُّنْيا لِأَرْبَعٍ. رَجُلٌ آتَاهُ اللَّهُ مَالًا وَعِلْمًا. تمام؟ صرف ماله بعلمه فرأى فيه حق الله وحق الناس وحق أقاربه وحق أهله رواية. فهذا في أعلى المراتب. A person, the dunya is for 4 kinds of people. The first one is, but he has some knowledge and some have some wealth. So he spent all his wealth to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to please his folks and to give the poor and the stuff. The second one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him knowledge and he did not give him money. And he said, if I have the money of the first one, I would have done the same thing. فَهُمَا فِي الْأَجْرِ سَوَاء. He will get the same reward like the first one because his intention is good. And the third one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him money and he did not give him knowledge. So he spent it in his lust and desire and he did not see the right of Allah or the right of the folks. And this person is aswa al-manazil. This is the worst. And the fourth one, a person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give him knowledge, did not give him money. But he said, if I have money, the same thing like the third one, فَهُمَا فِي الْوِزْرِ سَوَاء.
I didn't understand number 2. Number 2, what was it? I understand number 1 about sadaqah, and I understood number 3 about
when somebody asks for something he does not need, give me, I need. Always asking people.
Based on greed, I got you.
Exactly. And the third one is a person who was done injustice to him, and then, he let it go, and he gave musamaha, he gave forgiveness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase his... صلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم.